The Italian language makes the mundane sound magnificent. Meet the Ferrari 12 Cilindri. It means, simply, the Ferrari 12-cylinder. And that tells you exactly what's under the hood of this stunning new sports car from Maranello. A car that's been designed from the wheels up to celebrate Ferrari's most iconic engine layout, the naturally aspirated V12. Codenamed F140D, the 12 Cilindri's 6.5-litre V12 traces its origins back to the engine that powered the mid-engine Ferrari Enzo. Its basic architecture is thus more than 20 years old. The F140 HD is a comprehensive rework of the engine used in the 812, but many of its performance-enhancing components and technologies were previewed in 2022 in the V12 that powered the limited edition mid-engine Ferrari SP3 Daytona. It is the most powerful naturally aspirated Ferrari engine in history, punching out 818 horsepower at 9,250 RPM and 500 pound-feet of torque at 7,250 RPM. Those dizzying crank speeds are the result of titanium conrods that are 40% lighter than equivalent steel items, plus lighter pistons and a lighter rebalanced crankshaft. The engine drives through a new 8-speed dual-clutch transaxle transmission that has faster shift times and sends more torque to the rear wheels than the 7-speed transmission in its predecessor, the 812 Competizione. Much of the 12 Cilindri's suspension and braking hardware has been carried over from the 812 Competizione, but the all-aluminum chassis is brand new and 3/4 of an inch shorter in the wheelbase, plus it has 15% better torsional rigidity. The 12 Cilindri also has the rear-wheel steering system that debuted on the 812 Competizione. The proportions of the 12 Cilindri are classic front-engine V12 Ferrari. But this is not a retro car. Apart from a sly wink at the 1968 Ferrari Daytona in the way the black panel at the front of the car connects the headlights, the 12 Cilindri is perhaps the first mainstream Ferrari since the Enzo that doesn't obviously reference Maranello's back catalogue. The 12 Cilindri's surfacing and graphics echo the futurism seen in Italian product design in the 60s and 70s, and also some of the visual aesthetic of science fiction movies such as 2001: A Space Odyssey and Star Wars. Especially here, I mean, this looks like a stormtrooper in gold. But it's not all showbiz. These flaps at the corner of the car can actually lift into the airstream at speeds between 38 miles an hour and 186 miles an hour to generate downforce on the rear axle. And this lip here, call it an older next time you see Adrian Newey if you want to impress him, is designed to keep the car stable at speeds above 186 miles an hour. But as befitting a car company that also owns a Formula One team, much of the really cool aerodynamic trickery is under here, out of sight. At the front section of the underbody are 3 pairs of vortex generators that work with the front splitter to increase the downforce on the front wheels. The central part of the underbody is designed to channel air to the rear diffuser, and a further pair of vortex generators are located between the rear wheels. A series of carefully designed and precisely placed vents direct hot air from the engine and the radiators away from the floor's downforce generating elements. More hot air is extracted from the engine compartment via the 2 vents on the hood. There's a lot to wrap your arms around in this new Ferrari, but the key question is, how does it all work? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's go. Well, there's a lot to unpack about the Ferrari 12 Cilindri. It's quite an extraordinary car. First of all, it's ungodly fast. I don't think I've ever driven a front-engined 12-cylinder car that is as quick between the corners as this thing. More than that, it's quick through them too. The agility, the stability, the grip and the grunt is just unbelievable. That said, I wonder whether some people might be a bit confused about what this car is all about. You see, it looks like a GT, but it drives like a sports car. And yes, it's fairly comfortable. If I was to now switch back into automatic mode and get out of race mode and go back to sport mode, you can hear the engine comes down, it's nice and quiet, the ride's a little more relaxed, and it feels quite comfortable. But what you're always aware of in this car is the hyper alertness of the chassis. And at first that's a little intimidating because the car feels a little nervous. It's only after you get to spend some miles in it to really start to explore the potential of the chassis that you really appreciate what's going on. So first and foremost, Ferrari says this is for the few. And by that they mean the real enthusiasts who love front-engine 12-cylinder cars. In the past, they've had to have cars that felt a little slower, felt a little softer than other Ferraris. But of course, the naturally aspirated V12 engine goes right back to the very beginning of Ferrari. The very first Ferrari road car had a V12 engine mounted up front. Mind you, it was only 1.5 litres. It's grown a bit since then. So I think this car, it's highly desirable. It's astonishingly good to drive. The steering, the brakes, the side slip control system, and the power from that engine, it's spectacular. The agility in the chassis is remarkable. This makes the 812 feel like you're driving a bus. Really, it does. This thing is so sharp. Is it too sharp? I guess that's for customers to decide for themselves. The first of the Dodici Cilindris arrive in the United States in the first quarter of 2025, priced at just under $465,000. There's a Spider version coming with a soft top, the Dodici Cilindri Spider, and that arrives later in 2025 and will be priced at about $510,000. Oh, and in case you're wondering, those prices include a $5,000 destination charge. No, it's not cheap, which is one reason why this Ferrari is indeed for the few. That's never going to get old.